Hey gang, happy Halloween. My name's CJ Curry, and in today's video, we're gonna be looking at some more PrizePicks options for tonight's 4-game NBA slate. Yesterday's video, there were a lot more tricks than there were treats. We're looking to get back on track using some of the best projection models for NBA player props that money can find and see if we can get more right than wrong. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button now. We have hit on 35 out of 51 picks to start the season. That's a 68.8% hit rate. And while you're down there subscribing, make sure you turn on that notification by ringing that bell and slap the like button. You guys went well over 400 likes in yesterday's video. I'll set today's line at 349.5 likes. Let's see if we can go over one more again. So yeah, yesterday's picks obviously did not work out for the most part. We got 2 right, 4 wrong, which is the first time in any of these NBA videos from this season that we went below a 500 or even hit rate in any of our pick videos. So things like that are going to happen. Those of you who are new to playing on PrizePicks, those of you who are new to sports betting, well, listen, there's going to be nights like last night. Can't win them all. You're not going to win them all. And just because we had one bad night doesn't mean that the rest of the season's going to be bad. This is one game, one night of what is about 30 weeks of NBA action to come. All right, the NBA runs all the way until June. I've produced more than 600 videos on this YouTube channel talking about over 1,000 different player props. Okay, lots of player props. So we can't get too high or too low. So we're going to get back on track and see what these player projections have to say for today's NBA picks. So let's slide over to the PrizePicks board. If you guys are new to PrizePicks and never played PrizePicks before, the first $5 that you risk, they're going to give you $50 back. To take advantage of this, you're going to need to go down to the description of today's video. You're going to need to click that special PrizePicks link and use promo code CJ Curry in order to take advantage of this excellent offer. All right. So we got 4 NBA games, not a very big Halloween slate here. Milwaukee and Memphis, Houston and Dallas, San Antonio and Utah, Phoenix and LA. But the options are limited right now due to a lot of pending injury news. For instance, you've got Memphis with Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart, both listed as game time decisions. You go over to the San Antonio Spurs-Utah game. You've got Lauri Markkanen listed as a game time decision. Obviously, he's a big, impactful player. And then you go down to the Phoenix and LA Clippers game. You got Bradley Beal listed as a game time decision as well. And so that kind of shrinks up our options right now, at least options that are safe on the 10/31/24 NBA slate as of 12:31 p.m. And so 4 picks is what I've got for you today. So let's start knocking some of these out here, starting with this first one. Gary Trent Jr. of the Dallas Mavericks, Milwaukee Bucks. He's sitting out here at 11.5 points, and 11.5 he looks entirely too low when you compare his line of 11.5 points to some of the top NBA projection models out there. And so that's how we've amassed almost a 70% hit rate thus far in these YouTube videos, is by doing what we're about to do right now. So we're going to go over to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. Guys, if you're not using this tool, it's an important tool to have because it's going to go out there and scan all the different sports books across the industry. It's going to strip out the juice or the vig, and it's going to give you true or fair odds of a player prop to hit. Now, just because things have an advantage of hitting or saying that it's going to hit, or it's projecting that it's going to hit, doesn't mean it's always going to work out. Last night was a prime example of that. There was a lot of player props that were projecting really well that looked like they had the chance to hit. And then the players go out there and they do the opposite. And that's part of why it's gambling. But anyway, looking at Gary Trent Jr. here on your favorite sports books, you got a number of different ways you can play him here. Both of these options are over options. You could go points and rebounds over 14.5. That one's looking pretty good. Or you could go points like the one we're about to talk about now. 11.5 points. You got about a 52.1% chance of him going over 11.5. And you're seeing some juice on a lot of different sports books. Some books even have him up at 12.5 points right now. So you could go PR, you could go points. Points, rebounds, and assists also look pretty good at 16.5. So a few different ways that you could play Gary Trent Jr., most of them being overs. And that's due to the projections that you're going to find when you use a tool like RotoWire. RotoWire providing pretty good projections for the most part. Their little PrizePicks player prop tool has been fantastic. As you can see, when you punch Gary Trent's name into the RotoWire PrizePicks tool, you're going to see this projection bar. Projection bar is pretty high for everything Gary Trent related today. 14.5 points and rebounds, over. 11.5 points, over. 21.5 fantasy score, over. PRA, 16.5, over. And of course, the PA at 13.5, over. But for this video, we're going to look at the points. If the points get bumped, feel free to pivot over to something like PRA, PR, or PA, or even fantasy score, as he has the tendency to get some steals and blocks. Pretty good defensive player. But in terms of his projected points, 16 projected points according to RotoWire. Again, I'm going to keep harping on this. I don't make these props. I just use them. So if you disagree with them or they don't hit or work out, go file a complaint with RotoWire or Fantasy Labs or these companies. I don't make them, I just use them. So 16 is the projected points for Gary Trent Jr. of our RotoWire. But, you know, every projection model, as those who have seen my previous videos know by now, every projection model is just a little bit different. And so we look at multiple projection models for that reason, to get more of a holistic view of what could happen tonight if all goes well for Gary Trent. So this one, 13.6 projected points, still putting him over by more than 2 points versus the PrizePicks line of just 11.5. And then, of course, Betting Pros, which is a free site that you guys can go out and try for yourself. We're going to go check the third projection on Betting Pros, and they've got him all the way up at 14.8 points, a differential of 3.3 points. And so when you get those types of gaps or differences, those are advantages or opportunities for us to try and take advantage of. And so we're going to do that with Gary Trent at 11.5 points. But like I said, if this bumps to 12, feel free to pivot off of it and get one of his other props in there like PRA, PR, PA, or fantasy score. Next guy we're going to be talking about is Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets. They're taking on the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Jalen Green sitting out there at about 32 points, rebounds, and assists. And according to the projection models, this is looking a little bit too high. 32 PRA. It's been a number that he's been going over or tying over the last couple of games, but styles make fights. Every matchup, every situation from night to night is a different one. And so using hit rates is not always the best practice in the world, but if you're scared, then don't take the under. You could always take the over, or don't take it at all. Totally up to you. What you guys do with your money is your business, not mine. Taking a look here at the Jalen Green props using the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. If you take a look at where he is at here on all major sports books, 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists seems to be the consensus line for him. 51.91% chance that he stays under 32. Now, this could mean that he ties, meaning he could have exactly 32 PRA or less. But nonetheless, the option here is to lean under on Jalen Green at 32 PRA. So taking a look at some projections, so we always like to apply the projections and kind of see how things are looking, shaping up here for Jalen Green. As you can see, he is projected for 28.89 points, rebounds, and assists according to RotoWire. So they got him going way under tonight, going up against the Dallas Mavericks. If you just want to see some hit rates, well, they got those in here too on RotoWire. He's had 30, 32, 40, and 39. Now, he had 2 monster games, but that was against the San Antonio Spurs. And we know that the Spurs defensively, they're not as good as the Dallas Mavericks. Let's be honest. The Spurs were bad last year. They're still kind of bad this year. And so, of course, he feasted against the Spurs. Maybe tonight he has more of a down game coming off of 2 really big back-to-back games against a pretty bad San Antonio team. Sorry, Spurs fans. Taking a look at where he's at today over on Fantasy Labs, they've got him all the way down at 29.6 points, rebounds, and assists, putting him well under that 32 PRA line that we just saw over on PrizePicks. And so with a differential of about 2 to 3 points, rebounds, and assists, I think this is another opportunity that we should be taking advantage of. And then, of course, we're going to go back over to Betting Pros and check out the projection there. And you might have already guessed by now that, yes, he is going to be projecting less than 32 PRA. 31.6, though, is the projection. So Betting Pros has him a little bit higher, closer to that 32 PRA marker than some of the other apps. But of the 3, I typically ride and die with Fantasy Labs. I think their projections are some of the best in the industry. So in this case, Jalen Green would be a 32-point rebound and assist option for the under for me. Staying with the Dallas Mavericks Houston Rockets game, let's take a look at Klay Thompson. His points plus assists look pretty good. When I was scouring the different projection models out there, the over at 15.5 PA looking a little bit too low. So taking a look at where he is at on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, we like to look at the sportsbook data and get a kind of a view of what things are looking like there. At 15.5 points and assists, 52.2% chance that he's going to go over. You see an app like Hot Streak has him up at 16.5 already. The other ones have him right around 15.5. At 15.5, though, he is a betting favorite to go over. So the money's coming in on the over on sports books like BetMGM and Caesars. So that's why you get about a 52.2% chance of him clearing 15.5 points plus assists. Plus, he's coming off of a little bit of a down game in his last one, so I always like to go back to guys who are, historically good at hitting their props, have a bad game. Then I like going over if they went under in the last one. So I think this is an opportunity for a little bounce back for Klay Thompson against a Houston Rockets team that not that great defensively. Taking a look at his projections, though, starting with RotoWire, of course, the top way to play Klay Thompson, according to RotoWire's projections, is to lean more on the over at 15.5 points and assists. But again, everything Klay Thompson's looking good here. If you wanted to take the over on the fantasy score, that's a move. The over on the points and rebounds, that could potentially be a move. The points are a little sharper in terms of the projection. You're getting the biggest edge when you combine his points with something like points and assists, or his points and rebounds, or the fantasy score, which is a culmination of points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, and turnovers. So a lot of different ways that you could play Klay Thompson. But in terms of his projection on points and assists, 16.75 is the projection for Klay. So that is definitely an advantage of 1.25 PA versus where he is at on PrizePicks currently. Taking a look at another projection, which is, again, Fantasy Labs. Love me some Fantasy Labs. They got him projected all the way up at 18.7 points and assists. So they expect Klay Thompson to cook the Houston Rockets. What do you guys think? Is Klay Thompson going to get back to cooking tonight? 18.7 points plus assists looks like a really strong projection. A differential of 3.2 PA. Like what I'm seeing there. Now, is Betting Pros going to be the third and final projection to have Klay Thompson going over? Well, it looks like it. The top way that they suggest you play Klay Thompson is the over on the PA as well. They got him all the way up at 20.3 points plus assists. That's 4.8 PA different than his PrizePicks line right now of 15.5. So Klay Thompson looking like a decent option. Had trouble finding a fourth pick, a final pick, but I ended up landing on this guy, James Harden, going up against the Phoenix Suns. He's been a guy who has, historically speaking, gone over 5.5 rebounds this season and finished really close to going over 5.5 in his last game last night. Finished with 5 boards, but maybe tonight he gets back on track, clearing 6 or more rebounds. So I'm looking for the over tonight in a back-to-back game against the Phoenix Suns. So let's go take a look at James Harden on the sports books. Again, we're using data pulled from the books, pulled from these projection models to help us in making our decisions. And here you got James Harden sitting out there at 5.5 rebounds, a 53% chance of him going over. Now, the sharpest sports book that's out there is Pinnacle. Pinnacle's got him as a minus 162 betting favorite to clear 5.5 boards. So definitely love to see that when you're considering James Harden for some rebounds tonight. Taking a look at his projections, you're going to see he is projected for more than 5.5 boards over on RotoWire, 6.16 projected rebounds. That is what we want to see, 6 or more boards when we check out these projection models. Another 6.1 projection over on Fantasy Labs has him clearing the 5.5 number. And then, of course, we're going to go back over to Betting Pros and get you that third and final projection and wrap this video up so you can go start getting ready for Halloween. They've got him at 5.7 projected rebounds, so a little bit more conservative, a little bit tighter to that 5.5 rebound line that we saw over on PrizePicks. But those are your 4 options. I wish I had more for you today, but like I said, with the pending injury news, there's just not a whole lot of options for us to consider. Once that news starts to roll in from the NBA news wire, then we can start taking advantage of some other plays. I'll probably have more posted over in Dub Club if you're interested. Link pinned in the comment section of today's video. Let's try to get back on track. A lot more games tomorrow night, Friday night. So I'm going to bet light tonight. Let me know what you're doing down in the comment section below. Good luck. Peace.